Welcome back. You're watching The Money Show with me, Kavita Thaplial. Being in debt is the last thing you want. However, life is unpredictable and you don't always have control over your financial health. But meticulous planning and strategies can help you repay your loans in time. What are these strategies and how should one go about implementing them? Let's answer all of these questions with Aparna Ramachandra, founder, director, rectifycredit.com, and Arnav Pandya, founder, Moneyeduschool. Good evening and welcome both of you. Aparna, we are going to talk about repayment strategies because I think a lot of time we've discussed about how to avoid these kind of loans, especially the personal loans that we usually discuss. But then let's strategize a repayment strategy. You think every kind of loan needs a different kind of repayment strategy?
Good evening, Kavita. Yes, but obviously, every loan needs a different kind of a repayment schedule because of two reasons. The kind of loan that you've taken, the time horizon, and the your risk appetite. So, three things. So, if you've taken a secured loan, say for a home loan or an auto loan, usually the time horizon is a little longer. Auto loans are anywhere between 3, 5, 7 years, and home loans, as we all know, is depending on the age, at least 20, 25 years is there if you're young and you that's your first home loan. So there your strategy is different. But if you've taken a personal loan or you've taken any of these, DG loans, fintech loans, and all of that, your strategy has to be different because the rate of interest that you're going to be paying and how quickly can you repay. So these are all multiple factors basis which we need to strategize, Kavita.
Now, repayment strategy is something that should be in place even before you approach or you think of taking a loan. But then having said that, a lot of time people don't land up planning for it really well, at least when we talk about a personal loan or maybe a credit card outstanding. Having a repayment strategy, however, is very important to have for all kind of loans. But then, Arnav, how important it is to have a repayment strategies for your credit card outstanding or your credit card bills?
Good evening. So, having a repayment strategy is, I would say, one of the essential parts of the entire process when you are taking a loan, but even more so when you are dealing with a credit card expense. Because, see, unlike other loans, for example, if you are, say, buying a car and then you are taking a loan, there is a lot of thought process which goes into it, into the decision of buying the asset and then actually taking a loan for it because the available amounts are inadequate. On the other hand, when you look at a credit card expense, a lot of these expenses are on the spot or on the spur of the moment expenses where people don't even think about it when they are making the spend. So credit card is like a convenience which a lot of people use, that they do not have cash in their pocket. So they just swipe the card, make the expense, and then later on when the bill actually comes, that is the time when they start thinking about the process of how they're actually going to repay. But before making any credit card spends, specifically those spends which are slightly larger in nature, one has to be very clear as to where the money for this is coming from. So there are two reasons why one needs to do this. One is obviously the fact that the credit card system, I mean, if you go into the interest cycle, it's going to be the most expensive debt that you will ever have taken. The second thing is that the repayment process normally will be less in the sense that you will not have too much time before the bill comes to you and you have to pay the amount. So that is the most important thing which one has to understand, that this borrowing is not a long-term borrowing, and you have to have some idea of how you are actually going to pay back the amount. And if you do it before you actually make the spend, it is better. Otherwise, this is going to be a long drawn out process and a lot of things will suffer, including your credit score, if you are not up to date with it.
Aparna, this is a very important point. You know, a lot of time people strategize a repayment strategy for maybe a home loan, considering it a very long period loan, but then credit card outstanding or even a personal loan is often not planned so well. Credit card outstanding we plan, but then what about personal loans which are available on just one click these days?
So, there are two, three things one needs to be keeping in mind if I have to advise a strategy. Like we all know, before you say yes to the loan, do your homework. But just in case you've not done the homework and you've landed yourself with a loan, and it is on, later hindsight, you see that, you've signed up for something that you cannot afford, then there are two, three things that you need to know. First is, see what are your, prepayment terms. If you are in a position where you can, kind of prepay that loan, or at least make some part payment of a loan that is proven to be a very expensive one or a mistake, then at least you are salvaging the situation. Number two, if we are talking about credit card outstandings in particular, if you are someone who's been, there are sometimes situations where otherwise you've been repaying always on time, and your track record is good, but one particular month there has been a sudden, mishap or some unplanned expenditure, and which is a little larger ticket in size, then you can always call up your credit card company and speak to them and tell them if they can give you, EMIs on that large amount or the total bill. So if you have been a good credit card user, 9.5 on 10, these guys are more than happy to give you that EMI. So there also, see if you can take the shortest tenure of the EMI, because you are going to be paying interest on it. It is not 0%. So this is only a strategy for you to salvage the situation. This should not become the norm, number one. Number two, if you've taken very expensive personal loans, let's not get into, why did you take or what happened. But then if you've already taken a very expensive personal loan, see if you can, somewhere try and reduce that burden. Like I earlier said, pre-close or do some part payment, and so that it doesn't hit your cash flows adversely. Number three, where you've signed up for, sometimes these mobile phones or, some gadgets and things like that, be very careful when you read the, in between what they're trying to tell, because of late we are seeing a lot of clients where they've taken personal, mobile phones on these, some of these websites, and those guys start hounding you to collect that phone. So they will come and confiscate that goods. So they are going to come to your house and create a ruckus and stuff like that. So see, make sure that you read the bylines before you sign up for such loans. Kavita.
But then a lot of time people don't realize all these things, and then they are in a deep swoop, when it comes to repayment of these kind of loans. So Arnav, how smart it is to take help of agencies who help you formulate a repayment strategy for maybe a credit card outstanding or a personal loan.
So the first thing is that as an individual, either you understand these things or you pay attention to the details. And if you do that, then you should have a proper, or rather a better idea of what you are getting into. But there are times, or there are a lot of occasions when people do that, and they end up in a position where they cannot pay, and then they have this pressure of paying back, or their assets are likely to get confiscated, and there are these calls which come in. So as an individual, for example, if this kind of situation is already there, then you need to evaluate the position as to whether are you in a position to frame a strategy to get out of this mess. If you cannot, then there are always external agencies who can help you in the process. So it's very clear that if you are not able to manage this, then seeking external help is very important, in the sense that at least you will have a path out of it, or a path forward, so that the problem which is there currently is resolved. Because you cannot avoid this kind of situation and keep trying to postpone it. So it is always better to seek help if you cannot manage it. And this realization itself by itself can help you a lot of times, because then at least you will have a good strategy in place and a way out, which you can then just implement.
Aparna, your view on this?
Sorry, I missed Kavita. I couldn't hear you.
Taking external help for your repayment.
It is a very, very important point, because see, there are two things. It is very human.
Stage. Aparna, Aparna, I'll just add one more line. At what stage do you think you need external help to repay your loan? Even that's a very crucial stage one should know.
Yes. I'll come to that. See, typically when people have missed, say, one EMI or one credit card bill, it is the company that that is trying to chase you, to the collection team that is trying to chase you for that payment. If it is just one or two cycles you've missed, but you know you're in control and you're going to be able to manage the situation, then continue. Don't seek help. Manage it on your own and see how best you can salvage the situation. But if this is going to be continuing, please remember all of these are all compound interest products. So if you've lost two EMI, if you've missed two EMIs, the third EMI is going to be two EMIs, the third EMI plus the compounded interest on all of these, penalty interest, this, that, and the other. So please don't get into something where then you can't get out of it. So that is where you need to be seeking external help. And when you seek external help, also understand what is it that they are going to be doing for you. If you are going to be jumping from the fire to the frying pan, then that doesn't make any sense. So also figure out who is it, what is their background, how are they going to help you, and always keep in mind that whatever strategy you are doing for now, there has to be a long-term perspective to it. Don't look at someone who's going to currently help you and then later on you're going to be in a soup. So see how best they can take care of you in the longer term. So these are few of the things. And when you go and seek external help, like I told you, I mean, to answer your question, when it has passed two or three cycles and you're not able to manage, that is when you're going to be seeking professional help. Number two, when you go to them, at least there tell the truth as it is, so that they are able to understand your situation, adequately represent you, and get you a resolution. Not telling the facts, or misrepresenting facts, or sometimes just being clueless, because we have so many clients who come to us and they are absolutely clueless as to what is going on with their finance. So those are very scary stories, because how do you even start? Because they don't even know what is going on. So so at least do that bit of your homework and then seek help. Kavita.
All right, now this takes me to the last part of the discussion, where we will give our viewers smart strategies and, in fact, the smart ideas to repay their loan. We will be discussing this all throughout. But then a few things that one should be keeping in mind before taking a loan. I mean, even before having a repayment strategy. Arnav?
So before you are actually even taking a loan, one, you need to actually research the various options which are there in front of you. So do not just go and select one option based on a single feature which you think is attractive, because that is what usually happens, that people, for example, just see one feature, sometimes an interest rate which they think is lower, and then they just go and buy the product. Always, before you take a loan, research all the options which are there in front of you. Second, do a little bit of homework also in terms of whether you, because of your individual position, are you able to get a better deal in this? This could be on account of several factors. One of them could be that if you have a good credit score, then obviously you will get a loan at a cheaper rate. Second is that it could be that you have a very good banking relationship with your banker, and in that case also you should explore the option if you are getting a good deal for your loan. The third thing which also one needs to take into fact consideration is, why are you actually taking the loan, and the time period for which you are going to take the loan. Because now it is just not a case that you take a loan and it comes for a fixed time period. So if you are taking a car loan, then also think about the fact whether can you repay it in 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. What is the thing which is the right time for you? What is the kind of amount which is right for you? Because similarly, for a housing loan, you have not only time options, you also have the flexibility in terms of when you are going to need the money. So that is very important. See, in a high amount loan, it's not that the whole amount could be required upfront. There could be various time phases, especially when you are taking a housing loan, when the money might be required. So how are you actually going to draw down the limit which has been given to you? And then what is the entire repayment plan? That all these things need to be considered before you actually go and take the loan.
Aparna, your smart tips? Aparna?
Kavita, I missed you again.
Yeah, your smart tips and ideas.
For me, to add to what Arnav already mentioned, I would add three things. I would first say, if you're taking any kind of unsecured loans, think three times before you actually, whether you really need that loan or not. Number two, if you're going to get into a credit card debt, make sure that you have, if you've already gotten into a credit card debt, give yourself a target. Work on it backwards. Say in the next 6 months, I'm going to get out of it. Next 9 months, I'm going to resolve this. Otherwise, this is something that is going to become a habit, and you're going to get into a very vicious trap of taking personal loans to repay credit card dues, then personal loans default. So that whole story starts. So that is number two. Number three, when you're taking a home loan, if you, for whatever XYZ reasons, currently a tier one bank is not approving your home loan, you've taken a loan from a, like an NBFC or a cooperative bank or a small bank, whatever, through in the tenure, there is no need for you to be, loyal to that original borrower. If you are, there are some policy changes, there are some interest rate changes, or your scenario financially improves, see how best you can, salvage, leverage that thing, the advantages, and then see how best you can work with that loan, because there is no need for you to continue to pay a higher interest loan throughout the entire tenure of any loan. Kavita.
All right, so I think that's the topic of discussion today. We would like to wind up. Thank you so much, Aparna, for being on the show and helping our viewers with this. And we will be moving on to our viewer queries after this break. But then before that,